Fallout from TNA Impact Wrestling Live, as seen on Spike TV. You're listening to Impact Showdown Radio with your host, Lee Sanders.
On January 24th, 2013, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, thank you to all of you that are checking us out live right now. You can feel free to interact with us during the course of this episode. As always, we have the chat room loaded up at blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR show. Feel free to hop on in there when you get a chance. You can also take the time to interact with us on Twitter at Infinity1Prod. While you're at it, take the time to check out our Facebook page. In between listening to tonight's show, hit us up on Facebook at Infinity One Productions, where we cover so much more than wrestling. So tonight was the episode of Impact Wrestling Live, where many questions needed to be answered. More specifically, Taz. Why Taz? Why? In case for those of you that might have missed last week's episode of Impact Wrestling, you didn't catch what went down tonight. As always, have no fear. We have you covered over here. Last week, it was revealed during the Brooke and Bully Ray wedding that Taz, who was the best man for Bully Ray, was a member of Aces and Eights, as Aces and Eights had ruined the wedding. Notice, though, and I thought I was the only one that had caught this. Apparently there was a couple of you that had caught this as well. Bully Ray and Brooke Hogan technically never were officially man and wife, as the wedding was interrupted. We didn't get to hear that whole by the powers invested in me, I now pronounce you man and wife, you may now kiss the bride. We didn't get all that. And I bring that point up for a very good reason. Just remember what I just said as we're going to be diving into tonight's results. But again, the million-dollar question, Taz, why did you do what you did? Well, tonight's episode of Impact Live would kick off with the Human Suplex Machine. Former ECW champion Taz himself, along with his brothers and Aces and Eights, they all came down to the ring as Taz kind of pushing a little bit of his old colors there that he had in the WWE. He had a little orange T-shirt going on, had the whole short sleeve flannel going on, was pushing his Aces and Eights leather vest jacket. Answered that question, and basically the way that he answered this question, quite honestly, it left many people even more perplexed and wondering just what exactly and why did Taz join Aces and Eights. Now, this is just a little bit that we were able to get from Taz, as this is what he said on tonight's episode. Now, he said that the reason why he joined Aces and Eights, folks, is because he couldn't resist. He just couldn't. He couldn't resist the machine known as Aces and Eights, as they want revenge and redemption. And he also couldn't pass on the opportunity to take direction from a higher power. Now, all this jazz about Bully Ray, Brooke Hogan's wedding, it meant nothing more to him and Aces and Eights than an opportunity to step on them to reach that higher power that he keeps talking about. I do not know what the hell this higher power is, but folks, that is what Taz is putting out there, as he also informs Hulk Hogan, who is at home recovering from his injuries that he sustained last week, and TNA President Dixie Carter, another person who was not in attendance tonight, to double-check the fine print in his contract that he signed 4 years ago, as there's some lines that they missed. As it turns out, the contract that he signed is basically ironclad. It's set up in a way where if anybody tries to touch him, be if anybody tries to suspend him, if they try to fire him, if they try to do some physical harm to him, he will own the entire company. And he goes on to say that Brooke, Bully Ray, they were nothing more than collateral damage and just another victim. So there you have it right there. Of course, that million-dollar question, who is Taz talking about when it comes to this higher power? Is it a entity? Is it a person? Is it a group of people? We want to know. Well, we really didn't get that much, as I'm sure many of you that saw tonight's episode were saying, okay, we need a little bit more info right here. What's going down? Well, in a weird twist, we actually ended up seeing Taz join Todd Kenley and Mike Tenay at commentating for a good majority of the night. Now, remember what we had said last week on Impact Showdown Radio? We said, okay, you know what? It really would make a whole lot of sense right now to see Taz leave the booth and just let Tenay, Todd do their thing so that Taz can just put his whole energy into aces and eights. But that's not what we saw this week. And quite honestly, I got to be honest with you guys right here, and we got to keep it real. You know, I thought that it was just a little bit too much exposure of Taz tonight. I really felt that the route that TNA management should have taken was to just limit the amount of appearances that we would have got Taz tonight. I think what Taz had said to kick off Impact, I thought that spot was just right on, but to have him just be commentating throughout the night, I just was not really cool with that. I just felt that kind of will hurt him in the long haul. Just mark my words on that. But for now, it was what it was. I'll recap a little bit more about that in the later part of the show. But for now, some of the matches that we had got on tonight's episode, we got a Knockouts title match between Tara and Velvet Sky. And, man, I don't know about you all, but for those of you guys that was checking out this match, there was a whole lot of cheeks going on, if you catch my drift. I was pretty distracted. I almost forgot I was watching an actual match right there. But we saw Tara literally help Velvet Sky during this match. I was really glad Tara was involved in this, because otherwise this match really would have been just totally all funked up. But it was still impressive. Out of the 4 matches that we had got on tonight's episode, I would have to say that this match was relatively decent. I was more into this match than I was with the other matches, except for the main event, of course, which had saw Jeff Hardy taking on Christopher Daniels for that TNA World Heavyweight title. But again, Tara, she defeated Velvet Sky to continue holding on to that Knockouts title. Doesn't look like tonight is the night of the Velvet Sky, even though she had said 2013 was going to be her year. I would suspect that at a future pay-per-view, maybe Velvet Sky will have her run at that title. Because I literally was just ready to start yelling if they were going to have Velvet Sky become the Knockouts champion tonight. It's like, okay, if you're going to make this happen right here and now without doing a proper build-up for Velvet Sky so that fans can really feel invested into her journey upon returning to the organization, well, why not have just done all this at the last pay-per-view? Makes a little bit more sense, right? Why not have it all go down at Genesis, right? Right. So really glad that we saw Tara retain the title right here. We had got some tag team action as Zema Ion teamed up with Kenny King. They had defeated the team of Christian York and RVD. A little funny backstage segment between Zema Ion and Kenny King, as Kenny King was just marveled at his look in the mirror when he saw Zema Ion pop up, and yet would have missed it if you were a little distracted. But we actually saw Kenny King diss Zema Ion, knocking him for his hair, calling him Goku. Some of you all that might not know what the hell that meant, it probably flew by your head just big time. Basically, he was referencing a cartoon character from one of my favorite anime shows of all time, Dragon Ball Z. I think it's kind of funny now how they keep recycling it now for the 5-year-old kids Because back in my day, that cartoon, it was just bloody and all that. What the kids are getting now, they just really dress that up real good. Yeah, they taking out all the blood from that damn series now. But good reference right there, telling him to just lay back, let him do all the dirty work. He's going to be the one that's going to lead them to victory. And Zima Ion, after hearing those words and Kenny King walked out, Zima was just taking that trademark can of hairspray to his hair and saying, yeah, you want to show off? He said, I'm going to show you. And show off he did, as we actually saw Zima Ion scored a victory for the team. You would think Kenny King would be happy with this, but Kenny King was actually pretty annoyed by the antics of Zima Ion, as he wanted the spotlight to be put on him. Welcome to those of you that are joining us. You're listening to Impact Showdown Radio, covering the fallout from TNA Impact Wrestling Live, as seen on Spike TV. I'm your host, the Black Avenger, a.k.a. the Black Azrael Lee Sanders. All right, so we pick it up now. We actually saw cameramen catch up with the icon Sting, asking him if he had any clue as to the identities of the Aces and Eights members stemming from the attack that went down at the wedding last week. Sting, not really a man of words, did not offer any type of comment. And he actually did all his talking in the ring. We would also see Bully Ray, Brooke Hogan pop up. Cameraman caught up with them as well, asking them questions. Bully Ray, Brooke not answering. Their talking is going down in the ring. We saw the return of Joseph Park, who was bummed out that he had lost his first wrestling match at the Genesis pay-per-view. And he vowed that he's going to make up for it in a big way, folks, as next week is Open Fight Night. And that special event, Joseph Park is going to call out somebody to face one-on-one. Now, who Joseph Park is going to call out, he is not sure, as he's going to be in deliberation for the rest of the week. He's going to be watching wrestling video footages. He's going to be taking notes on all the TNA wrestlers on the roster. That's going to lead up to him making his decision. Who will he pick? We don't know. You would be led to believe that maybe he's going to call out somebody from Aces and Eights. I don't know. I would think that would be the route to take. After all, they did kidnap him, supposedly. They starved him, according to him. Hey, not to mention they took a hammer to the back of his head. Apparently it did not cause him any type of memory loss. I don't know. I would think that would be the route to go. I would be a little bit stunned if Joseph Park had went in a different direction, someone outside of Aces and Eights. So don't be too surprised if he goes the Aces and Eights route. Again, be a little bit shocked if he went another direction. Speaking of Bully Ray and Brooke Hogan, this was one of those nights where if you can't stand the Hogans, this was the night for you, because we didn't get an appearance from Hulk Hogan. And even though we got an appearance from Brooke Hogan, she didn't talk. Yes, she did not talk. Bully Ray actually did all the work tonight, as he had came on down to the ring, and conveniently, Taz had disappeared. Yes, right. Now, Taz actually ended up disappearing during that tag match we were talking about earlier, as supposedly he had received a phone call, a very important one at that he had to take. And Bully Ray, looking for a little bit of payback, did not see Taz, though, still went on ahead and cut his promo. We actually saw Bully Ray send a message to Taz and everybody else in Aces and Eights, as he told them that from here on out, he's going to be set on destroying every single one of them. And he also went out to say that every single one of these guys, they need to sleep with one eye open, because he is going to seek kicking all of their mother-loving asses. But he cannot do this unless a certain person reinstates him this certain person needs to lift that indefinite suspension. Of course, we're talking about the immortal Hulk Hogan. And Bully Ray pleads to the Hulkster, as he knows Hulkster is at home watching Impact tonight, pleading with him to do the right thing, come next week on Open Fight Night, reinstate him so he can give Aces and Eights and Taz the ass whooping that they got coming to him. And we also saw Bully Ray take great offense to what had went down at that wedding, as Aces and Eights and Taz, they ruined a very special moment between him, between Brooke, and also pointed out how Sting was the only one that had his back these past few months as he's been trying to make peace with the Hulkster. We actually saw the icon Sting come out, and he echoed the same sentiments as Bully Ray to the Hulkster, imploring with the TNA general manager to do the right thing come next week on Open Fight Night, which will be airing in the UK for the very first time. Reinstate Bully Ray. Is that what's going to happen, folks? Well, we shall wait and see. Other action that we had on Impact Wrestling tonight, we had Bobby Roode in action as he had took on Big Super Mex Hernandez. Continuation from what had went down last week, where the team of Bobby Roode and Austin Aries had disrespected all the TNA champions on the roster. And, of course, we saw Chavo and Hernandez take offense to that, and they actually ended up getting into an all-out brawl with them last week. We saw Bobby Roode and Austin Aries trying to get on the same page, trying to determine who was going to face Big Super Mex Hernandez tonight. Bobby Roode would actually step up to the plate after somewhat being manipulated by Austin Aries to do so. Austin Aries telling Bobby Roode he would come in to pick up the scraps to make sure that Bobby Roode's able to get the win. And Austin Aries actually kept his word. Of course, this was looking like a mirror image here of what was going down in WWE between Kane and Daniel Bryan. And I hate to make the WWE reference there, but just seeing these two guys go back and forth, hey, I helped you get that win. No, I got that win. No, I helped you get the win. I helped you win. I'm the winner here. No, I got the win. I mean, I felt like I was watching Kane and Daniel Bryan right here. The only thing that was missing was Dr. Shelby. Well, maybe in this actual case, what these guys could really use is Dr. Stevie Richards. Remember that gimmick? Those of you that was watching TNA Wrestling for a good while, remember that character that popped up there, Dr. Stevie Richards? Yeah, that really didn't last too long, did it, guys? Nah. But, you know, I'm wondering where's Dr. Shelby here, because these two guys, they seem like they are just clinically in need of some dire help right now. Welcome to those of you that's checking out tonight's show. Black Avenger Lee Sanders with you all on Impact Showdown Radio, covering the fallout from tonight's TNA Impact Wrestling Live, as seen on Spike TV. Very interesting development right there, though, between Bobby Roode, Austin Aries. But at the same time, I'm continuing to love these two guys being paired up. I think that it's really a blessing in disguise right now, as upper TNA management is trying to go with Jeff Hardy as their main guy. It's nice to kind of see these two guys still be relevant, even though they don't have that TNA title around their waist. We saw the return of Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle as he made a surprise return. He was interacting briefly with Wes Briscoe, Garrett Bischoff, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe asking him how's he feeling. Kurt Angle revealed that he's not exactly at 100% just yet, but it's not going to stop him from what he has in store tonight involving the Aces and Eights. And what that was exactly would turn out to be him calling out the asshole himself, Mr. Anderson, as next week on Open Fight Night, Kurt Angle is challenging Mr. Anderson, and we actually saw Mr. Anderson get in the face of Kurt Angle and say to him, "You want to fight me, Kurt? You 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 want to fight me, Kurt? I was just hearing that so many times. I was just literally yelling, shut the hell up already. Of course he wants to fight. He's not 96 years old. He's still got his hearing, man. God damn. But it turns out that Anderson, he told Kurt Angle, hey, I don't want to fight you, Kurt, not at all. And we just see him take a cheap shot from out of nowhere. Kurt Angle was actually able to quickly get back on the offense. Mr. Anderson, seeing that the surprise attack did not work, he quickly had made his exit out the ring. But before he was able to head off into the back, we saw Kurt Angle grab a microphone and tell Ken Anderson that next week it wasn't going to be just any old type of match, not a singles match. No. A little bit of retribution right here, as Kurt Angle is going to be taking on Mr. Anderson one-on-one inside of a steel cage. No aces and eight members allowed. And this just had Mr. Anderson furious, as later on we had saw him in a backstage segment mad at the girls, the biker women that are there for sexual gratification. He actually had the audacity to call them what they truly are. He said, hey, hoes, be quiet. Yes, we actually heard Mr. Anderson say hoes. And we see Devon just being all cool and laid back. Devon has just really been coming off more and more like a updated version of The Godfather. I mean, man, pimping ain't easy, man. We see Devon cool, collected, just laid back, telling Ken Anderson, hey, man, I know you're in a rough spot right now, but look, you know the Brothers is going to have your back next week. We got you covered. Just for now, kick back, relax, enjoy the lovely ladies. Mr. Anderson not quite there, as he is just wondering how is he going to get himself out of this jam against Kurt Angle next week. And our main event match of the night, probably one of the best moments of the entire night, as we were reading a good amount of what you all were saying on Twitter, on Facebook. A lot of you all really kind of felt as though with this particular episode of Impact Wrestling, it was just kind of one of those moments. And we can definitely understand where you guys are coming from with this, especially with how they just did Taz right there. And again, we'll be touching up a little bit more afterwards. We get done talking about this last match here. So we had Jeff Hardy taking on Daniels for the TNA World Heavyweight title. Man, great video packages from both of these guys leading up into this match. Of course, you go over to Christopher Daniels' video package, and basically it chronicles his entire TNA wrestling career, pointing out how there has been one title that has eluded him during his tenure with the organization, and basically putting that question out there, could tonight be the night where Daniels basically creates history? You go over to the other side and you see Jeff Hardy. Great video package when they do Jeff Hardy as always, but what I thought was more interesting is the words that Jeff Hardy had to say in a backstage segment about his opponent, Daniels, and pretty much what he had told Daniels was that when he being Daniels, delivered that angel's wings on him, and his face just hit those TNA titles, he tells Daniels that he and his creatures of the night already know how to fly, and he welcomed him to try to get him into this match tonight, try to put him in that spot where he's able to take the TNA title away from him. But he promises that he's going to show Daniels and the world what he isn't. And I think in this case, what he isn't is a TNA World Heavyweight Champion, as Jeff Hardy was able to successfully retain his title. This was a match for me. I just really enjoyed it. but my biggest gripe, it didn't have enough time. It came off as if I'm not mistaken, this match didn't officially start until about maybe 10:45, 10:47, so not really that much you could really sink your teeth into. Now, if it would have been on at 10:30, that would have been a different story. But post-match is where it got really interesting. We see Taz grab a microphone, and I want you guys to keep this in mind. Taz commentating during this match, it was the perfect setup to something going down with Jeff Hardy, because as Jeff Hardy, Daniels were getting it on, we actually heard Taz say to TNA and Todd Kenley, I don't know, something about Jeff Hardy. I don't see him being champion too long. I think things are about to start getting rusty for him. I don't think he's going to last that long this year. And Todd, Mike, they're trying to figure out what exactly is Taz talking about. Is he talking in Morse code? What's going on right here? And after we see Jeff Hardy pick up the win over Daniels, we see Taz grab the microphone, and he puts the question out there to Jeff Hardy, which is, what is he going to do once Aces and Nates have destroyed everybody in the company and he's the only person that's left? What is he going to do? And turns out this was nothing more than a distraction, as we saw a Aces and Nates member come from behind with a steel pipe in hand and took it to the back leg of Jeff Hardy, weakening him up really good right here, which puts the question out there to mind. Was Jeff Hardy weakened like this to set him up for next week's open fight night? Is it going to be a situation right here where someone from Aces and Nates is going to try to challenge Jeff Hardy to a match? And if so, can this person pick up the win and automatically put themselves to be in a spot where they could be the number one contender to take on Jeff Hardy for that title, perhaps on a future episode of Impact Wrestling? We'll know more about that next week. But overall, I would have to say that with the whole added bonus there of Taz revealing not really too much, good match between Jeff Hardy, Daniels, I would say tonight was really a so-so episode. For me, the takeaway from this episode was really just setting up the Open Fight Night edition in the UK. It seems like more energy, more time, more hype had went into next week's episode. And again, let's highlight some of those things that's going to be happening on Impact from the UK next week. We're going to see Kurt Angle challenging Mr. Anderson in a steel cage match. How will the Aces and Nates play a role in that, if any? Joseph Park is going to be challenging somebody to a wrestling match. Who it could be, that's the million-dollar question. Will Hulk Hogan reinstate Bully Ray, or is it going to be a case right here where Hulk Hogan continues to think negatively of Bully Ray? Really wouldn't surprise me right here if Hulk Hogan did not reinstate Bully Ray. I think it would just add a little bit more shock value right here. I would be a little bit shocked to see Hulk Hogan actually reinstate him. I got Hulk Hogan still not trusting Bully Ray right here, despite holding the hand and watching the EMTs come carry Hulk Hogan out of the ring last week. I just don't see any of that happening. But again, good setup for Impact Wrestling next week. Taz, let's touch back up on that briefly with regards to that. As I said last week, and I'll say it again, I think the route that they need to go with Taz right now is to just remove him from the commentating booth altogether. We really did not need Taz with those guys every single night. Throughout all the segments during the course of this night. I think the way that they should have did this at the beginning there when he opened up with that strong promo, that was perfect. And his commentating, let's be honest, his commentating tonight, he really wasn't calling anything. If anything, he was trying to be that heel type of commentator. He was rooting on all the bad guys, okay? I like that. But at the same time, I was still kind of just left with the impression, it's just the same old typical Taz. I really thought that tonight it really hurt him to be out there with those guys practically calling every single match. They need to be smart about this. Just let Taz come in spontaneously. If I were to give a suggestion to TNA Wrestling, it would be to actually take a page out of WWE's playbook with how they've been doing Brad Maddox. Just have him spontaneously pop up to offer color commentating, and we know damn well he has no business being there. You know, that can kind of be the same vibe that is going on with Taz. It's like, okay, why is he here? He's with Aces and Eights. Why is he here with us? What the hell is going on right here? Kind of just adds a little bit more aura to Taz. And to know that when Taz does pop up, we're actually going to get a moment where we're going to see him deliver a really good promo. Beginning with Taz did fine. At the end, Jeff Hardy there, that was fine too. That's really the only two things that should have happened tonight. Let's see how smart they are next week in the way that they utilize him. That's going to be my main focus right there, because otherwise, and this is the reason why I'm focusing on this for so long right here, this could backfire in a way where if TNA continues to use him the way that they're using him, it's going to hurt the overall impact that he had made joining Aces and Eights just last week. You know, if we continue to see him offer commentating for practically 2 hours, and then he's also trying to juggle the whole Aces and Eights thing, unfortunately, that could end up having fans be a little bit alienated by Taz, even the hardcore Taz fans. Now, if you're a real Taz fan, you're just not going to care. You're just going to love the fact that the man is involved in some type of a program. But you may even have a position right here, TNA, where you could even have that hardcore Taz fan be alienated that Taz is getting so much time and he's not really doing anything. So really got to play it smart and utilize him in those respective areas where it counts the most. All right, this is what we're going to do right now. We're going to take a very brief commercial break. Then when we come right back, I want to give you guys some quick programming notes, and we'll also dive a little bit into TNA wrestling-related news. It's been a pretty busy week so far. I got an update on Hulk Hogan suing the Gawker website. We'll give you the 411 on that. You're listening to Impact Showdown Radio, coming at you live on January 24th, 2013. We will be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight.
For news you can use, like us on Facebook during this commercial break at Infinity One Productions.
10:36 p.m. on the East Coast. Welcome all. So, quick programming note, Impact Showdown Radio fans, we have a special guest that's going to be coming by the show next Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. It's the one, it's the only, it's the famous Justin Reno that's going to be stopping by. For those of you that's been listening to our show for a good while, you know Justin Reno is a RCWR show, Impact Showdown Radio family member. We love Justin. Anytime he is just willing to come on by, he does so. And this was actually a really cool case right here where he actually had hit us up and he told us that he had some heavy stuff that he wanted to lay down for our listeners. And I said, yeah, bro. I said, you want to come on by? Yeah, let's do it, man. It's always awesome when you're on the show. We have a lot of fun, just shooting the shit. Yeah, come on by. So the famous Justin Reno, former MECW champion, is going to be stopping by, and he's going to be giving us the 401 on what all he's been up to as of late. So check us out for that. Bookmark that. Also, you know, we got a very busy weekend. You know, we got a very busy weekend coming up next few days, and it all began tonight. Saturday, we're going to do a very special remixed episode of the RCWR show. It's our Call That Match special. We're going to be offering match predictions for the 26th annual Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Now, those of you that subscribe to our YouTube channel, you actually had got to get the remixed, well, actually, no, not even the remix. You actually had got our match prediction special last night. This is going to be a live remixed episode that we'll be doing this Saturday. It's going to combine what's on YouTube right now, but for the very first time in our Call That Match series specials, we are going to be opening up the phone lines live to get people's reactions, predictions on what they think is going to go down at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. So we know from time to time you guys have been wanting to call in and offer your predictions. You'll be able to do so. If you're a little phone shy, no problem. You can actually hit us up on Twitter at Infinity1Prod. Send us your match predictions. You can also send us your predictions to us on Facebook, Infinity One Productions. Hell, you can even email it to us. Somebody will read it. I'll read it. Somebody's going to read it over here. It's short-staffed as it is over here. Send it our way, infinityOneProductions@gmail.com, and we'll actually include you all's predictions on Saturday's show as we open up the phone lines. And we've already received quite a few of you's predictions. It's going to be a pretty solid show, so make sure that you join us for that. That's this Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern. It all leads into our RCWR post show this Sunday at 11 p.m. Eastern. We'll cover the full fallout from the WWE Royal Rumble event. Was The Rock successful in becoming champion for the first time in 10 years, or was the straight edge, the best in the world, WWE champion CM Punk, able to retain to continue his impressive streak of 430-plus days, something that is just unprecedented in this modern era. We'll cover the full fallout. Live fan reactions at the phone lines will be open, so if you plan on checking it out, hop on in there, push that button, kick back, smiling, dial, get yourself live on the air, my good friends. All right, so let's go on ahead and let's talk a little bit about TNA wrestling-related news. I thought this was a pretty interesting snippet of news. I had actually heard this earlier this week, and Kurt Angle had recently revealed in an interview that he plans to hang up his boots for good in the next 3 years. Now, this is a direct quote right here from the interview that he had gave. He said, "I've got 2 more years left at Impact Wrestling, and then I'm going to have a retirement year, and that's going to be it. I think I'll be done, and once I retire, you're not going to see me back in the ring. That's for sure. I'm not going to be a guy that retires and keeps coming back. When I'm gone, I'm gone. Same thing as amateur wrestling. When I won the world championships in Olympics, I left and I never went back. Same for pro." Now, we got to bear in mind that currently, at the age Kurt Angle is now, he's 44. So if he's saying he has 2 more years left with TNA Wrestling and then he's going to do a retirement year, basically he's saying he's going to be done at 47. I think that's relatively pretty damn good. Still a young man at that. Kurt Angle seems like a very, very smart man. I know sometimes he makes a lot of bonehead decisions that we hear about from time to time, but he seems like a very smart, conscious man when it comes to money. I really, truly believe that this guy, if we do see him wrestle once he says he's officially done with the business, I think is just going to be at his own leisure, just for the love of it and not because he needs money. So I'm all for that. Hey, 3 more years, that sounds about right. And also recently, Dixie Carter, she had an interview where she was talking to London24.com concerning the road to the Lockdown UK tour stops that they're going to be making. Also had talked about TNA British Boot Camp, rating success in the UK. I'll read you some snippets of it now. On going on the road to the Lockdown UK tour, direct quotes right here. "This year on the tour, we are bringing the steel cage over for the first time. Plus, we're going to record a month worth of television in the UK, which I'm so excited about. She also had talked about TNA British Boot Camp winner Rockstar Spud. Quote, they were all great and do all have great personalities, but he had a few more years on the other guys. We did a great job finding the top talent over there, and it was a tremendous success. Adding Rockstar Spud to the roster is going to be really interesting, and I can't wait to see what he's got. And she also talked about attributing the English fans for TNA's continued success and the WWE. She said, I feel this is a tipping point, and this year is going to be big for us. A big part of our expansion has been in the UK, and we are the best right now. We have the best talent, our ratings are better, and for a company that never acknowledged us, the big guys are starting to copy us. She is right there, but, there's something that has just been on my mind for a good while now, and I don't really think I stress it enough on here, and I don't want this to come off in a way where we're bashing, because what I try to do with Impact Showdown Radio, what I try to do with the RCWR show, I never try to just bash something. I always try to think outside of the box, and if I see that there is something that wasn't executed properly, I always offer ways that something could have been improved. So it's not bitching. I think bitching is basically you sit up, you trash a product every single week, and you don't have anything good to say about it, and it's kind of getting you to that point where if you're watching it, if it's that damn bad, then why do you continue to watch it? I'm sure you guys have probably seen the comments on YouTube. You see somebody that is posting a comment on a TNA piece, and they say TNA sucks, and it's kind of like, well, why the hell are you posting that comment here, you dumbass? Come on. So, I mean, this is just something that's been bothering me for a little while now. First of all, I'm very happy to hear that TNA Wrestling is doing a phenomenal job overseas. But you know what? What about America? Huh? What about the good old USA? What about New York? What about Pittsburgh? What about Chicago? What about California? What about those major states, those major wrestling cities? Milwaukee, Wisconsin. What about those territories? It would be nice to open up a newspaper and see for the first time in TNA wrestling history, TNA Wrestling is coming to the Patriot Center in Virginia. Or for the first time ever, TNA Wrestling is going to have their lockdown pay-per-view at the Verizon Center in Washington, D.C. How come we don't hear stuff like that? Now, we all know very well the answer to that question. The attendance numbers, they really don't make that much of a draw, and they have to unfortunately go for some pretty small type of venues. But, the thing that just bothers me the most is that they aren't willing to sit up and really take it out on the road. Now, I see a comment that is coming from Robert right now. Let's see what he's saying here. Robert, Lee, Dixie Carter said that her 2013 resolution is to take Impact on the road. She said it on the Dixie Carter addresses 2013 TNA plans. Okay, so good. So correct me if I'm wrong, Robert, so that we make sure we let the listeners know, because there's only but so much I know. I know just about almost everything until I'm on the air, so I don't really surf YouTube like that. So correct me if I'm wrong, Robert. She's saying that she is trying to have TNA Wrestling go to those areas that I had just mentioned. I'll give you a little bit of time to reply, buddy. And, yeah, if that's the case, then you know what? Hey, that's all good and dandy. I can't wait to see if that actually does come into fruition more this calendar year. And Robert confirmed that. He said, yes, TNA Wrestling, according to Dixie Carter, they are trying to have the organization go to those areas that I mentioned. Okay, so that's good. Well, hopefully 6 months from now, this can be a different conversation. Again, I'm happy that they're being very successful in the UK, but I want to see that momentum that they're having in the UK come on over to the good old USA, because you got to show some love to the TNA wrestling fans that have supported the organization this long. It all began in the U.S. I don't know. I just kind of think it's a little bit backwards. Don't really pay me no mind, guys, but I think you kind of see what I'm talking about. I think those of you that's been following TNA wrestling for a while, I think those of you can agree that it is kind of a little ass backwards there that they've focused on the expansion out in the UK as opposed to trying to really hammer it out here, but hey, it is what it is. All right, so I got some other TNA wrestling news for you guys. I got the latest on that Hulk Hogan sex tape lawsuit. Now, it turns out Hulk Hogan's attorneys have filed a motion earlier this week. It was on the 22nd. They asked that Hulk Hogan's lawsuit against Gawker Media and Heather Clem be transferred from federal court to Florida state court. Now, keep in mind that in this motion, it was noted that Clem had refused to take part in any settlement discussions after early settlement attempts did not work out successfully. In another motion, Hogan's attorneys attempted to get a motion by Gawker to dismiss the lawsuit for being thrown out. Now, Hogan is claiming that federal court lacks the grounds to dismiss the case since it should have remained in the Florida state courts to begin with, folks. Now, bear in mind that should the court not agree to take the case and transfer it back to a state case, Hogan is arguing that the First Amendment does not give Gawker the right to trammel Hogan's rights by posting video of him for the whole world to see. Now, Hogan's attorneys, they also granted that while the fact of the story itself may be newsworthy, and this is in response to Gawker claiming that it is newsworthy, posting unblurred highlights of the tape in question is a violation of Hogan's privacy and not protected by the First Amendment. And they also argue that it's no different than the First Amendment not protecting someone if they scream fire in a crowded theater when there is none. Now, they are also going to be arguing the fact that Hogan mentioned sexual encounters with someone else in his autobiography or may have addressed the potential of a tape in the past does not mean he has given up the rights to privacy in the matter. They also noted that he sued as soon as he was aware the sex tape existed and once again claimed he had no knowledge he was being filmed at the time. They also argued that Gawker posting a private video online for free is not journalism, but something more akin to the likes of using the video for commercial profit. And should it be allowed, the message the court is sending is that anyone who has some level of being a celebrity must give up their rights to anything that happens in the privacy of their bedroom. So there you have it right there. I don't know about you guys. It sounds like Hulk Hogan and crew. Sounds like they have done a little bit more homework. Honestly, I actually believe that they have something going on right here. It's the second time a charm. Could they possibly win this case? I think with what they just have right here, the way that they have put down the early groundwork, I think they have a really good fighting chance right here. All right, now as you all know, TNA, they are going to be on the road to the UK, and we got some dates for you guys. I don't know if you guys get the chance to travel out in the country, but Thursday, January 30th, they're going to be in Glasgow Hydro. Friday, the 31st in January, they're going to be at the Manchester Arena. On Saturday, February 1st, they're going to be at London Wembley Arena, and on Sunday, February 2nd, they're going to be in Birmingham, NIA. So there you have it right there. For more ticket information, all you got to do is just go to facebook.com/TNA Wrestling UK. You can also go to ticketmaster.co.uk Get yourself some good ticket information right there, and more power to you. If you end up going out there, let us know. Maybe you could be a special correspondent for us. And we want to diffuse this rumor that's going on right here. Take this with a grain of salt. Kid Cash, or at least someone claiming to be him on Twitter, is claiming that he was released from TNA Wrestling. The claim that he was released is 100% false. Now, the Twitter account, unlike most TNA accounts, has not been verified. Many TNA wrestlers have tweeted messages to the account in the past. Now, this is what this supposed Kid Cash wrote. Don't believe everything you hear. Rumors that I left TNA are completely false. I'm still with the company. Should be noted that Kid Cash's last match was on the January 3rd episode of Impact Wrestling, where Sting had made his return. He had lost against Christian York. Then on January 5th, Kid Cash was at the Crossfire Wrestling show for their second anniversary event. Most TNA contracts prevent wrestlers from appearing at televised events or shows that film for DVD and pay-per-views. So as of this time, folks, I want you to bear in mind that Cash's profile is no longer on ImpactWrestling.com, as it's now providing a invalid link. So bear that in mind. Other than that, folks, that is pretty much it. Once again, we got a pretty busy week. Quick programming notes. This Saturday, we got a special remix live episode of the RCWR show called That Match Special. We're going to be offering match predictions for Sunday's WWE Royal Rumble, and it's going to include live fan reactions. So those of you that plan on checking out that pay-per-view, feel free to call on in, offer your match predictions. Sunday, we will be covering the event all on our website over at InfinityOneProductions.com. So for those of you that are not able to order the pay-per-view in the privacy of your own home, we have you covered. We'll be giving live results at our website all throughout the night leading up to a new episode of the RCWR Post Show at 11 p.m. Eastern, covering the fallout from the event, live fan reactions, and one more time, we're going to be making a Monday night appearance. It's going to be the last time that we do this. No telling when we're going to do it again. Make sure you join us on Monday at 11 p.m. Eastern right here. All these great shows that I just mentioned that's going to be coming up in the next few days. You'll be able to catch all of them at blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR show. In case you missed all that information and you want to be like, can you repeat that again? I will not repeat that again, but I'll tell you the next best thing you can do. Just go to blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR show, and you'll be able to see the list of upcoming shows that we have, so you'll always be in the know-it-all. All right, guys. In the meantime, you all have a safe and fantastic weekend. We will see you this Saturday. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And, yes, I am watching Bellator fighting. I have it on my DVR. I am ready to see the debut of King Mo. If you got Spike TV on right now, make sure you go check that out. Be safe. Be kind to one of the folks. We'll see you next time. Everybody, take care.